This was a run I had the other day on stream. It was pretty good odds to be wreck up until the skip on reds. Failed the skip, didn't get wreck, but overall really fast run. So I'm just gonna do some post commentary on it and upload it. So mating, nothing special. Spellbook swapped, death charge, spellbook swap before entry, double BGS. I'm running a no hammer setup just for extra necks. It's not too bad. You lose some consistency on Sote and quite a bit of consistency on Xarpus, but in exchange you get quite a few more inventory spaces. 2 more inventory slots worth of necks can be really useful. Increases bloat odds, increases the chance you have more for skipping the maze at Sote. If you use very few on Maiden, or not Maiden, if you use very few on Bloat, you can even use some to heal other on Nylo boss, just to make sure that you have proper venges. Unfortunately didn't proc death charge on that crab, but it's not worth swinging on it again just to get death charge when it's 5%. It's just a whole wasted hit at that point. Positioned myself a little bit bad, so I had to take 1 tick of blood to get to this crab on time. Could have padded a little bit better. He was able to freeze 4s really far in the back based on the spawn, so he can actually refreeze them before they heal. So we can get kind of a partial skip. We'll have to use 5 more ticks to freeze them, but we don't have to worry about killing them all the way, which is nice. So really fast Maiden. I think it ends up being 208. Yeah, 208 Maiden. Alright, so the next room is Bloat. I'm just going to do the normal little pre-fire bows. Not really that important. Technically good. Time you start as ranger is same time you would pre-fire bow. I step back a bit to make sure that if it turns I don't fly the other guy a bunch. Normally ranger would run through instead of back, but since I have so many necks in the setup, I'm the one who runs backwards. It turns, so I don't get to do my first run through hit, which kind of stinks because I have a lot of necks left over now. I don't do the sow flick because I started 24 HP, and as far as I know 25 is the safe HP. I didn't hit it again there because it went below 40 and I didn't want to extend, and then since it turned I knew it was close to going down, so I just stood near it with B-necks so I could get 7 hits. Alright, next room is Nylo. Start with my 2 bows and some of my thrall. Chin south. Should just blow pipe east since the bow didn't one hit it instead of the chin. Would have been a little bit better. Back to blow piping. Finish off the stuff I didn't one hit, which was everything. Fill the empty ticks with sangs or claws depending what's nearby. Pipe south into claw. Thrall finish off the south big for me, which is really nice. Try to fill the empty ticks before my chins. Chins don't hit great, but at least they killed south. Helps a bit. Finish off my chin wave, sang the big. Do another sang before the scythe just to give me time to do the full switch. Makes the kill odds way better. Saying west before I blow pipe, just to make sure I don't lose any ticks. Make sure to finish off my south small rather than saying east. Better to finish it off than saying a full health one. Make sure to finish off all of those smalls before doing the splits, since they will change mage and the splits won't. Delay the big a tiny bit just so that it doesn't pop before the 20 check. I bow wave 20. If my thrall hadn't killed that range big on the pillar, it would have been fine. I'd rather kill the wave 20 than finish the wave 18 if I had to pick between one of them. Unfortunately, stall on 21 hurts a little bit. Probably could have popped one less big on 19 through 20. Do all my bow pre-fires. Would have been a little bit better to pipe spec that west big rather than pipe spec this south big, just so I'd have 100 spec when the boss started instead of 90. I sang his big there since he's a bit behind on his majors, or meleeers. I go ahead and do my pre-fires. Try to fill in my empty ticks here. Just make sure I don't lose any ticks. Best thing you can do as a ranger is fill in empty ticks with sangs on brand new stuff or pipes. Sang the fresh split before I finish my blow pipes just to make sure I keep track of what was newer, because as you can see, after I lose track of what's new, kind of just guessing. And 321 boss spawn. Not too bad for how bad early was. To full, bench my teammate since he's full. My BGS hit good, so I don't have to double BGS. If you BGS scythe, you have time to do 3 pipes into a bow rather than double bow. It's a little bit better. I'm still wearing the light bear here until 50 since I didn't start at 100, but at the time of making this, I hadn't thought about light bear much. You should wear it for 2 cycles if you start at 100, or 3 cycles if you start at 90, just so you get 250 spec weapons into a chally, whether that's 2 BGSs into a chally or BGS into claw into chally. Both are good. When my Venge comes off cooldown here, I wait till the boss attacks and then I Venge him, just to make sure that I don't accidentally have him take the prey, or the Venge on prey, since it'd be a lot worse and he's full health. And we end up with a pretty good boss on pretty good waves, which gives us a really quick entry into Sote. It's 8-10 into Sote. Next up is Sote. I edited out the trading, not really something you'd want to watch. This is one of the main rooms you lose time on if you run a no hammer setup. BGS isn't too bad, but it's definitely not as good as having a hammer. It's a bit better to Venge the very first hit, so you have time for Blood Fury. I just didn't do it. It was really fast paced. I wanted to be extra careful, make sure we get all the skips. Drop my item to red X. I check his inventory, see how many sharks he's got. I want to make sure he's able to skip the maze. Don't want to get any confusion there. Could have avenged a little bit more. Only need 55 HP to do a no shark skip with neck. I equipped my light bearer when I hit 60 spec. Put on my P-neck and click across. Red X into swap. Make sure I put on my Blood Fury before I swing. Should have done one swing into BGS. I did two into BGS. It's a little bit of a misplay. I equipped my light bearer again when I ticked up a spec, but considering how fast this was, I should have worn it one extra cycle. I end up not quite having spec at the beginning of P3. Here I'm not in a position to be able to skip the maze. He chooses to heal me, so now I am in a position to skip the maze. Fortunately, I get the maze, since it would have been a little bit of a time loss if he got it, since he didn't have enough HP to skip. I do my shark skip. Can see now that I didn't wear the light bearer quite long enough, don't have spec right away. I heal him when I get the bomb just to make sure there's less HP waste. From this point on, I'm pretty much just going to try to use all of my venges on him and make sure he's got enough HP to safely venge. So I see he's at 48 right now. Max hit is 50, so I drink a T-dose and I heal him just so he's above 50. Now he can safely venge when I venge him. Nothing really special here. With this no hammer on ranger setup, this is one of the most punishing rooms. If the major misses any hammers, you're kind of just doomed. It's going to be a bad Xarpus. But that's the trade-off you take for taking a bunch more necks and no hammer. I like to swap early inning zooms so I can summon a thrall and then re-swap towards the end. That way I don't have to swap during the 5 ticking. Doesn't really matter, just saves some effort. And we're immediately punished for running one hammer. Since he misses his first hammer, I don't even hit a BGS. And we're stuck with one hammer, 60 BGS, which is pretty much the same as just hitting 2 hammers. So even with a really crazy entry, I think it was 1051 entry, we're gonna most likely just have a pretty good Verzik entry instead of a crazy Verzik entry. Outside of that, really not a whole lot to talk about is Xarpus. It's pretty much just Xarpus. Resummon my Thrall. I have 2-minute Thralls, so if I know that room time plus 2 minutes is going to be longer than Xarpus, can just resummon. Don't have to worry about how long I have left on the first one. Pretty good hits considering the defense. Normally when the health bar at the top of the screen, the non-rune light one, is around 3%, is when you want to Chally. Since it's a bit high defense, it's a bit risky to Chally around there. think we chally a little bit early here and don't get a lucky chally. Waste a little bit of time. But yeah, overall, can't really expect anything with those specs. That's just the price you pay for owning one hammer. Still 1425 into Verzik, which is pretty good entry. P1 Verzik, not really a whole lot of special things you can do. As Ranger, the best thing you can really do is just tank a lot. To facilitate that, I have 2 restores instead of 2 prayer pots. I have an extra brew, and I plan to just use the extra brew during P1. You start with 2 dawns after picking it up. You're automatically on the cycle to tank. So I just sit there, I tank, I drink some brew. Combo eat so I can be high health for the next tank. Do a restore since I have so much. Being combat pot, it's not really that important, but if you have restore, it may as well not be brewed down a ton. Combo eat again. Here I waited a bit on the restore because I wanted it to at least get some prayer points. Probably could have just drank it anyways. And since I didn't ever get hit that big and I had the brew, I base tanked the whole P1. Get a really solid P1. I was deciding whether or not to put on the Zerker early and waste the spec, but I just waited until I hit 20 spec to put it on. Do a few hits with lower max hit. Normally you get a purple crab towards the very beginning, so I was death charged from P1, but for whatever reason we didn't get a purple crab on this Verzik for a long time. Spellbook swapping on P2 is you have to drop an item 2 squares away, and on the hit you would normally miss. That's when you have to swap, so you wait till your guy swings while running backwards. You control click the food to red exit and walk towards it, and then you click the spellbook swap. This was our only purple crab of P2, which is really unfortunate since it is 70 damage that it does to the boss when you pop it. And it also lets you get death charge. I pot shared him there since he's running water runes in his setup and gave me some. That way he can buy 1 less prayer pot and 1 more shark. Get some crazy hits there at the beginning of reds, but unfortunately my death charge runs out just before I can kill that crab. Spellbook swap here again so I can get a new death charge for that crab. Could have swung on it. Not really too big, but 20% is right around where you should still swing. Below that I wouldn't swing again. And at this point, with having a 240 into reds, which is really crazy, especially considering only 1 purple crab, and going 21% into the second set of reds, I was pretty confident this was probably just going to be a wreck. Even now, it's like 13.9% skip. I have a claw, he has claws. He has 2 claws actually. The skip should be really high odds. If we get the skip, it's wreck. And with 4% to do and 3 swings to do it, we managed to do 1%. So, fail the skip, and the wreck is gone. If you're doing the double 4-tick skip, then if you fail it, you can just do a 5 tick on the crab and do a 4 tick on the crab, and you'll be automatically in cycle to do another skip. I don't really know why I 5 tick there. I think I thought I did a double 4 tick start, so that was going to be my last hit, but that was not my last hit. And I mean, at this point, it's pretty just doomed run. Pretty sure we do get this skip, but at this point we failed 2 skips. Bad of me to not venge earlier on P2. Maybe I lost the venge when I got bounced. Should have revenged after that though. I checked his inventory really quick, see how much food he's working with. Just in case I need to drop him some. He dragged it south, so I chally it. As non-tank, if the tank drags it south, you have 2 extra ticks, so just replace the site with chally is pretty good. Otherwise, could blow pipe the exploding crab with death charge if you happen to have death charge for those extra 2 ticks. Should have been venging earlier, but I was typing in Twitch chat instead. So at this point, I was kind of just curious what kind of P3 we would get to see if we would have gotten wreck, assuming we got that skip. So far, the P2 damage is pretty good, so it's looking promising. I went to bow there, somehow didn't click on the boss, so wasted some ticks. Since I knew he was a bit low on food, I just healed him after the bomb, since he probably doesn't have any more. And we got a 2, I think it was 211 P3. And with that P3, if we had gotten the skip, it would have been about a 2035 overall raid, which is 1 second faster than Rec. Hopefully I checked the board here. I don't remember if I checked the board. And the splits are fast, except for last 2 rooms.